Cuando empecé a jugar LOL con Seikro, que es un player de nuestra región, es un ex Isurus. Bueno, yo jugaba casualmente y él se interesó mucho en la escena y fue jugador profesional. Entonces, después, al verlo como él, que era mi amigo, y al verlo que era pro player y todo, me motivé yo por jugar, empecé a subir en el ladder. Yo era main de carry, subí en el ladder y llegué al top 1. Me creé un equipo, jugamos el circuito de leyenda, lo subimos a primera división. Isurus Gaming como que obtuvo nuestro roster y en verdad como que yo filié, me cambié a support, no funcionó y después como que nos faltaba un mid laner y me cambié a la mid lane. Creo que si voy a competir contra los mejores para ser el mejor, no para quedarse en menos porque si no sería un fracaso. Así que eso, creo que esa es como mi mentalidad de pro player, seguir escalando siempre.
Welcome back, everyone. Emp and the rest of Isurus Gaming still looking for their first win on the day, and that's really what I want to hit here. As we spoke before the break about Lyon Gaming and what we'd like to see them do to bounce back from the loss they just sustained. On the side of, Latin America South, they're still searching for that first win. So what do we want to see out of them to maybe grab it here?
Some energy. I mean, you look at what just happened with Lyon Gaming, where they basically were on the back foot the entire time, not really looking to make plays. If you come out early and make a lot of plays happen, maybe you can overwhelm them. QQ Morris had decent early games despite receiving some attention in his game, so I wouldn't mind seeing them look to do something very aggressive centered around QQ More and Emp.
I would say the biggest thing that they need to do is transitioning an early game into a mid-game strength that they still look like a fantastic team early. They were doing those invades you mentioned, but how do they actually get themselves to a period where they can scale team fight late game, utilize their leads? It's where they've always looked good, but they haven't really made that work.
Yeah, absolutely. As we get a little bit of input from the Brazilian casters in the venue there in the background. I'm assuming that's what it was. But ultimately, I mean, do you feel, as we kind of expected Lyon Gaming to maybe be the front runner for the group here, do you expect them to maybe bounce back in a way that they'll view that kind of slow bleed as an unacceptable loss and maybe they'll fire back even harder?
It's a little bit of a balancing act because maybe you say, okay, if Isurus comes out really, really aggressive, then that's playing into Lyon, who clearly was struggling to make their own plays. Now you're just letting them counter you. So maybe you want to play a little slower too. Personally, I'd rather see the aggressive approach, especially coming into the mid game where both teams had different aspects that they were struggling with their vision control. One around objective play, one around side lane split pushing. So I would rather just see Isurus try and come out and grab this game and take control of it from the very beginning.
I mean, personally, I just worry that Latin America, they're good players, but their team is lacking because they've just dominated their region so strongly.
Alrighty, well, game 5 on the day here. Time to send it over to Riv and Vidius to get us into that game.
Thank you very much, Dash. We are about to get into the match. Lyon Gaming trying to shake off last game, but I know if I come out of a loss, it doesn't happen often, but if I ever come out of a loss, what do you want to do? You want to get right back into game.
Yes.
You want to make changes, and you want to make sure that you are feeling good about your play.
When you fall off said horse, thou must climb above horse and then dominate horse in order to ride forward. I mean, you want to try and get yourself 2-1 on the day, right? You want to try and end on a high note. And this will be Lyon's last game of the day, so it is important that they're able to net themselves a win against Isurus Gaming, who are also just trying to get their first one of the day.
Absolutely.
So both teams desperate to try and pick themselves up a win here, and I think it's going to be very exciting because we have two teams that love to play this 1-3-1 style. We've got two teams who are looking to try and set themselves up for success again around this mid-jungle combo. We talked about it at the very start of the day where all these mid laners are kind of like superstars in this particular group, and when they are able to succeed, that is where they really thrive. And we saw right at the end of that game, that Ahri play from Optimus, landing that charm onto White Lotus in order to get themselves that big team fight win is what enabled them to close out the game. So I'm excited to see what both these teams bring out. And we heard some words of encouragement from Emp, the Garen one trick. See what he's able to bring out today.
Climb to #1 with Garen.
Climb to #1.
Glad I didn't play against you that time. That would have been annoying. But also, looking at Lyon, Isurus can say that, hey, we've seen it twice now. They like to play an aggressive bottom lane. We just saw, even with a loss, how good they were in that bot lane with their Ashe composition. So good to come in for them from Champion Select to be able to knock that out and get the lanes that they want to start off. Isurus, as you see, going to be on red. Lyon will switch over now to the blue side as they just played red against Gigabyte Marines. Here we are, Lyon versus Isurus into Champion Select. And we have the Nidalee Kennen, Fizz, and Shen to start things off. Ban phase 1.
Now, this is a respect ban towards QQ more. What I'm expecting from Isurus is they actually leave the Graves open because they want to try and get it fought themselves. Then they have a tendency to actually pick up both their jungle and their AD carry in duo because they want to try and guarantee that they have that strong pushing lane, not only in the jungle, but also down at the bottom half of the map. And the fact that Obby, he's actually going a little bit more towards comfort, making sure that he's on that playmaking jungler in order to set up Lyon for an early game lead.
And what he did last time on Kha'Zix, he can have even more fun early game jungle with the LYN and safety. Elise is going to be on the other side. Great early game aggression as well. Can spam that farm if QQ more really just wants to stay in his jungle and the lanes don't need his help.
I wonder if Isurus now goes for Lulu, a champion that has actually been pretty high in priority into a number of different compositions. Would be pretty easy for Isurus to pick it up instead. Their focus is on the AD carry.
Smiles and camaraderie on the team as they start seeing the picks that are getting locked in here.
So now, if you're Lyon Gaming, do you go maybe for the Ashe once again? White Lotus has demonstrated his proficiency. Previous game, he was a little bit hesitant to throw out those arrows. He wasn't quite ready to try and force these fights, but instead he's going for the Lucian. You are correct. This was taken off the board. If we wanted to see White Lotus on a champion that he can carry, he can make plays on, then this bottom lane combo is the one to do, right?
You got Lulu banned last game and Lucian banned. Now you got the Taster's Choice composition together. It's got to feel good for Lyon here that they were able to put that one in. It is going to be a Talia lock-in on the side of Isurus Gaming. A little map control coming in for Emp. Been around a while. Says he likes to have that control over the game. We'll see if he can do it with the Wallmaker.
Now, normally, I do not like an early rotation of Talia because of the number of counters that she actually has available. Like earlier in the day, we saw what an Echo can do in that kind of a matchup, especially Ahri as well. But now you actually have the freedom to ban those away because you are the one that is able to get yourself the first rotation on the next time around. And you also can just ban away a lot of the counters. So I wouldn't be surprised to see champions like the Ahri and the Echo just taken off the board.
There's the Rumble long-range engage for Pride. Gets taken out. The LeBlanc gets banned, so mid-focus as well. Giving Emp a little bit better of a matchup here, as you would expect their first round last pick to be their mid laner. Last ban for Lyon here is still possibly something in that top side. Just crush that champion pull down as you're already looking at the jungler.
I wonder. Oh, okay, nice.
Kled's dead.
Taken off of Pride. This is actually one of his most played top lane. He certainly has a lot of comfort on it. And Gerald, he's saying, you know what? Nah, I don't know. I'm good. I'm good, thanks. He may very well go for something a little bit safer now.
I feel like Kled plays to this tournament so much for having a team that continues to fight these long fights, being able to throw off a fight with dismounting and remounting. So that is a very good ban from Lyon here.
Also, like, if you think about it, ooh, nice. We did see the brand come out yesterday, in fact.
Absolutely.
Down in the bottom lane. Didn't quite have as much success as one would have liked. However, today perhaps things could be different. You have a powerful bottom lane. I am surprised that they wouldn't go for something like a Zyra, who typically has a few more utility tools in her kit. She's a little bit more powerful during the laning phase. But, Lyon, okay, this is a fun draft. We get to see the Galio again. We're going for the protect the Oddie comp. I wonder if they're going to round things out with an Orianna. Orianna's fine into the matchup against Talia. You have all this protection built around Oddie, and you're basically saying, you know what, Mr. AD Carry, you can be the superstar for our final game.
So ready to see it. Got one yesterday. Very fun to watch play, fun to watch teams kind of consider the engage and then be able to use it, since you're not just diving in with Galio to be a hero. It's about how you can save your team. There's the Ahri. They didn't want to ban it. Or on the other side, rather, so they could pick it.
But
Lion's
now,
happy with that.
You can pick yourself a good matchup for top lane. Galio is a pretty versatile, but he still struggles into the same sort of pressure top laners like Renekton and Gnar. And so Pride, given that he does like to usually play these kind of bully top laners, it's no real surprise that he has moved towards the big lizard man up in the top lane.
Interesting. White Lotus from the Ashe 006 game to having just about all the support you could need on a team if you didn't have Ori in the middle too for another shield. But having that Galio jump on top of you means a lot of safety. We'll see how it plays around it. Isurus has a team that could probably kill you before that Galio gets there, though. A very volatile fight coming in from them. We'll have to see how they decide to play it. 20 seconds before we get in.
And what I'm excited for is the fact that Isurus Gaming were actually very well known for this Renekton Elise combo up in the top half of the map. They love to just constantly dive and dive and dive, and you can do it because you have such powerful pushing with the Renekton. You have the ability to set out these early dives. Remember that Elise level 2 roam up top lane to shut down the Shen with the whole Darius combo too. And I feel like that Isurus game, and they're looking to repeat that. They want to try and shut this Galio down and net themselves some control over the top half of the map.
All right, 2 more games to go on the day. We're going to be loading in right now. Lyon Gaming versus Isurus. As we get on to the Rift, still one after this, Gigabyte Marines versus VP. So don't be going anywhere. You can see smiles on the screen. I know you're smiling at home. We've had some crazy games already to start the MSI play-ins. And we're about to give you one more. I guess 2 more.
Yeah,
well, 1 more right now.
The action is about to begin. We got a Lucian, we got the Playmaker. I'm just thinking back to Sven at Worlds with Origin. Do you remember where he was the front line? He was the one running into the fights, having the Lulu backing him up. That's the sort of expectation that I have for White Lotus. He had Flash too much in that last game, and I want to see him going back to his earlier plays in the day. Also ready to see Adi come out with some of those plays. He was in the face of the Lee Sin all game of his opposing jungler, but just could not find the results. Lyon now a little bit warmed up from that game. They'll go back-to-back now versus Isurus for their 3rd game of the day. Both teams need a win. Both teams very much want to win. They want to end their day on a high note. Yeah. And so now what we will see is, again, we talked a little bit about Isurus Gaming. Their very much game plan is, let us kill Giral. Giral, I feel that his impact so far throughout the tournament has not been the greatest. So if you put him behind, that's going to be even harder for him to have the same sort of impact in this game. Whereas Lyon Gaming, I imagine the investment is going to be around the bottom half of the map. You're going up against a Brand, the dude that's going to be looking to get in your face, trying to give you a couple of burn marks. You also have a lot of pushing power in the form of the Varus as well. So this is a violent bottom lane for Isurus Gaming. They have push all across the map. So I feel like that what we're going to be seeing a little bit more from Lyon Gaming is just like deep vision in the bottom half. They want to make sure that White Lotus and Genthix can play as aggressively as they want. They can look to try and trade like they did in the previous game. The Doran start versus the Longsword start down towards that bottom lane. We did see both of the guys last time going for their Blade of the Rune King. So we'll see how they go for their tried and true builds here. And we'll make sure how Imp is working that ground in mid. If you start to hover top or bottom, you can almost kind of read where the jungler is going. It's always good if Atilia can kind of mix that up and confuse the opposing mid laner. Now this is a really interesting pathing from Odd because he did not get spotted out by the ward. Yukimor has no idea that he's here, and he's going to get his blue taken away from him. Now, he actually has Raptors to go back to if he wants, hover to Wolves, or he can just hang out. Get himself over the wall. He might even start his Krugs and say, watch for that blue. It's already warded, so he's got time to play. But QQ is expecting... instead, he's not going to bother. Oddie going for a level 2 gank. Yeah, I think that was as soon as you said that, I think the call from QQ was, hey, the jungler could be down towards the bot side still. The play push from Seiya gets Emp to go down towards that bot side. They get a good flash out of him, and now QQ trying to make a move, trying to look for a bot side gank. I feel like it's going to be dangerous, though, except I did not notice how much damage Mr. White Lotus has taken. He does still have a lot of his summoner spells, well, all of, in fact, his summoner spells available to him. That's what you get out of this Brand and out of the Varus damage and piercing arrows coming through. Even though that damage isn't as much there, they are making it stick. No healing in this bot lane. Again, the Pillar of Flame under turret. Always trying to hit the Seers as well. And that is super obnoxious to play against. It's incredibly obnoxious because especially once he gets E, it's even more AoE. Yeah, it really is. So every time you walk up towards farm, the Brand is going to be in your face. It's really difficult to trade back against him. Lulu's going to be forced to put a couple of extra points into her shield where normally you do max it. However, it's going to be even more important when trading up against the Brand. And the annoying thing is even if he does pillar like the back caster wave, you're still getting not enough damage to push it too hard, but enough to harass on the enemies. Exactly. Like you said, super annoying. Whoa, okay. I was not expecting that skin, and then Renek was like, has he got a tan? He is looking way greener than usual. Not feeling well, a little seasick because he runs through the river. Towards the top, like we said, we got the push in, but QQ actually hasn't been able to deliver love to the top side. We heard the analyst that's saying QQ does get a bit of that aggression towards him early, has trouble handling it, and here again, he's going to have to try and recuperate and call an audible off his original pathing.
Little justice punch to the face as the call gets pried out with some HP.
So, very steady early game so
Yeah.
far. Adi with the moves in order to steal away some of the camp's experience away from QQ more. You can see that he is suffering right now in terms of mana, which is hurting his clear just a little bit. Means that he's not quite as ready to go for these early dives, but around the level 5, level 6 mark, that's where I'm thinking, well, maybe QQ more can look for a play up in the top half of the map. They really want to shut down this Droll Galio as soon as they can and start snowballing Pride on the Renekton.
And something we're very used to seeing is once the jungler sees that, they're over on the other side, taking blue. The mid is adjusting to make sure that happens. Top is adjusting because Pride was pushed in, right? So they actually could have been over, but the 3 buff start here for Adi, doing very well. And we'll see how he continues it.
Very early magic resistance being bought for Seiya. Identifying the high amount of magic damage on the side of Isurus Gaming. So he's just compensating for that. And interesting that we saw this yesterday as well, the actual prioritization of the I forget the name of it, the little blue cannon thing that squirts out ice.
Oh, GLP.
The GLP, yes.
I was like the little blue can. Oh, ice, ice, got you. I thought you were talking about the minion, yeah. Hextech GLP.
That's the badger. Right, so we've been seeing a lot more recently. I'm actually not a massive fan of it because when you weigh it up against the value of a Morellonomicon, I feel like that it's not as strong. It means it hurts your roaming because you don't quite get the cooldown reduction. The immediate power that you get is decent, but I feel like you could also get the same sort of effect from a Rylite. I suppose the advantage is you don't now need to build that Rylite. Instead, you can just diversify your itemization, perhaps go for an early Leandries, and then you can also get yourself an early Void Staff too. So go for more of the penetration build rather than the AP sustained poke damage build.
See what his choice is. This game, obviously, the belt. Seen it more and more. Allows you to get up close, get those kills, but right now he has not got any action as well. Seiya hasn't seen too much from pushing him in. The flash blown onto Emp has left him alone. Thought there'd be a return. But right now, I think Adi's just having fun with the amount of control he has over the jungle as he continues to get himself built up. No forward wards are going to let them know where QQ is in the next few minutes. That gives him the option to possibly make a play. His bot lane has been putting damage onto Lions, so maybe that's the entry.
Just looking at the vision right now in the bottom half of the map for Lyon Gaming. They have the control ward in the entrance to the mid lane, along with in the tri-brush. Whereas not quite as much vision invested into the top half of the map. Very much expecting Gerald to be the one suffering from the pressure, and so you can see that ward just at the entrance to his tower. So they're very much aware of what they're expecting from the early game from the side of Isurus, and we actually haven't seen very much from QQ more. After his blue buff got stolen, he made his way down the bottom side. He wanted to try and steal away some of the camps, but besides that, like, he really has been on the back foot. He has now actually still at a level deficit as Genethix takes a fair amount of damage.
Woo! That passive. There's extra damage always coming in, still burning from the corruption as well. But like you said, QQ more trying to get himself built up. Did go get that trackers early so he could fly through the jungle. Get a little bit more damage and sustain from his camps. And now he's down to the blue. Maybe able to deliver this over. He might take it for himself here since 6 is not the biggest deal.
But we are seeing White Lotus and Genethix get a little bit more push down in the bottom lane.
Yeah.
Feeling more confident after getting that first buy, and now with some lifesteal under his belt, which is what I'm expecting White Lotus to get for himself. He'll be able to deal a little bit better with the poke coming out from Isurus Gaming. And I feel like this is a bit of a window where Isurus Gaming may very well struggle, because you would expect with this bottom lane to be netting themselves a pretty big advantage. And while they do have a pretty big CS discrepancy, you want to try and keep this pressure on. You want to be making sure that you can get damage down onto this bot tower so you can call QQ more down later and be like, yo, I want to take the tower now. With your presence, we can either set up a dive or we can get ourselves the first objective of the game.
It's almost really, really hard to get the kill if they didn't on the scenario we saw before. When we got to the bot lane, we said, oh, well, White Lotus is low. Because sometimes you can just play under the turret. Oh! Sometimes you can play under your turret, but then you get kicked out. QQ more just on the edge of this one. Seiya's going to have to take damage on the work ground just to get himself moved. Repel is up, but he does not have very far to go. Weaver's wall is thrown out, but he might have got himself hurt. Gets the flashes from the other team. Thinks he was safe to stay and engage. M goes down, and that's first blood going to Genethix.
We wondered when the return was going to come from Adi. He did come at one the flash was already available,
Yeah.
but it doesn't matter. The job was done. He flashed behind, gets a very nice kick to set up the Lyon duo for an early lead, and this is exactly what we wanted to see from the side of Lyon Gaming. Get Saya on an assassin, move him off to a side lane, get him rolling so that he can move into a position later on where he can be that big damage-dealing threat. And while earlier on in the game before we saw him on the Oriana, like sure he had a great game, but he wasn't super impactful. And now that he started rolling.
And what was he playing against? He was playing against that Ahri, playing against Optimus, and now he can start to make the plays, be in the side lane later. Here it is once more.
And we can see the value of getting just some of this deep vision down early on where Oddie was gradually moving these wards slightly further into the enemy jungle. He gets this control ward just above Emp, and because they had that control, they knew that Isurus Gaming had no idea he would come from that angle. It became a very easy setup to get themselves a kill. They had a bit of help from Genthix too to stop that escape, because it would have been a sick escape if Emp got out with his ulti as well.
One thing I got to give these guys credit for, maybe it just looks like a lot, or they're keeping them up if they're cleared, is Lion's early game wards are always there. I said it last time at 5 minutes last game that it's always easy to do these things when everything's in your favor, but here in another game, they're keeping the wards up. Total vision of this rotation down mid. Have to blow flash, but still, that's you being alive.
The thing about the trade, right, that's a flash on an AD carry for a flash on support, right?
Very true.
I think I would be fine with said trade. It's like trading their Charizard for my Squirtle, you know? Like, hey, I'm fine with that, you know? It's a pretty good trade, especially a shiny one.
I always go like a pawn and a bishop, but that works too. It works. Everybody knows what you're talking about. Easy farm here at the turret. The method to the madness is known at this point by these guys on the worst ground, so M's not getting as much damage. Finds himself where he hasn't been digging too much, but he might have digged himself his own grave, and that's dug, not dig, but he's down, and that's another kill. 2-0.
And Oddie comes in, steals the kill after all of Saya's hard work. But still, he's just sharing the gold, you know, sharing the love. And they will be able to get a lot of damage down now onto this tier 1 in the mid lane. QQ tried to get some kind of response down in the bottom lane. Now we get to see whether or not they will be able to get this tower. But Isurus Gaming, this is not the early game that you wanted.
No, it's the fundamentals that Lyon is playing off of. So many times a team will be happy with blowing a flash because it allows their mid laner comfort to play against that guy, right? But now they're tacking on those advantages. Come back for the kill twice in the mid lane with this flash down. And they have a turret prepped in mid lane for first turret blood as well. We'll see this one more time. Saya's setting it up too.
Great charm from Saya. Like, he's confident he's able to get the solo kill simply because Amp, he does not have his summoner spells available. He was ready to get the kill. Like, Oddie. I would be very frustrated if I was Saya right now, but he knows, like, it's for the team. It's fine. My jungler, he needs the extra bit of gold. If he buys a control ward and puts it mid, you know what, I can forgive him.
Yeah. I mean, he could have made now. I was gonna say he could have safeguarded to him real fast, but may not have had time. Either way, kill secured. That's what KS stands for. As QQ heads back to his jungle here to clean things up. He's done a pretty good job on the bot side, just because they had some time to live. But the bot side is being hovered by Adi right now for a third return on this flash. Here's the charm as he pinches himself in between the turret.
Oh, no!
Just makes it. A very scary pathing move, but Emp is able to dodge out.
Both skill shots end up missing. Good sidestep from Emp.
Yes.
Yeah, let's give it to Emp. Good sidestep from him.
Well,
the dodge out from that.
Honestly, he looked to pinch himself in the turret, and that's a for sure death. And you say, whoop, nope.
Yep.
So
just using that rock surf passive too, you know, right next to the
that's
turret.
True.
Just sidestepping out the way.
Everything.
Like the slide and glide, good awareness.
He's getting that one in full.
Let's see if QQ can respond with the dive mid.
You say, whatever you can do, we can do better. Let's see if they can put that on the plate here, just on the right side there, being clear. QQ says nope, and it's a good choice. Gets him on the worked ground. Gets back to safety.
So now, let's go back to what we were talking about in the early game, right? Remember, Isurus game, they had push up top. They had the push down bottom. They also had push in mid early on, and they needed to try and utilize these pushing lanes. They wanted to just keep wearing down onto these early turrets. What we saw is Pride, he actually ended up getting pushed back a fair amount, like he didn't get the damage down, as Oddie now is in trouble.
Oh, the charm went past! They're gonna be able to get both in the fight now. There's the kill coming in into Emp. That's gonna be another falling. QQ is literally just trying to keep Emp alive, but finds himself falling now in his first death. And the heroic flight comes from Gerald, but it's in the after party. They're just going to get dragged now.
That was so cool. Oddie is able to get himself the kick combined with the charm as well. Like, Cucumore, if he didn't repel, he was going to end up dying to Saya, but he does repel, and then they just set up Emp to be the target focus. So Lyon get themselves 2 very swift kills. They're going to get themselves the Dragon 2. Mid lane goes down, and this was the Lyon gaming that we were expecting in the game before.
Start off early, control the vision, and they are not letting Cucumore breathe.
Oh no!
Kindness backing in not a good spot. Ignite goes down. Is it enough to finish? The forward flash from White Lotus. And if it's up, he will go forward.
And Ginless, he still has his flash, isn't quite able to use it. He thought that he would get away, but ends up losing his life instead. But let's backtrack to how this all set up. Oddie trying to get some vision. It looks like he's in a serious situation. He gets the kickback, and there's the charm.
Oh,
perfectly set up to get onto both targets. Means that it is an easy double kill. And Newbie, all right, I like the idea. He wanted to try and get the bounce on the ultimate. And uses the blast cone to get out as well. But then with his flash down, Oddie's easily able to get the chase. And they get themselves 3 swift kills.
There was like a 0.5 seconds there as well when Emp laid down his ground, but Oddie flashed just before. Had he done that, he probably would have exploded. Whew, so many things happening in a fraction of a second there. And I feel like that's almost well coordinated. Lyon saying, okay, that was great. That happened in our favor.
Here we go again.
Sure. Oh, right back onto him. Pops him up against the wall to make sure he's placked up, and they lock him down. The cleanse not coming up. The flash not there enough. And even Genthix can take a few front-end bursts here from Cucumore to get the team back into position. Kindness rotating through the jungle with Newbie. It's going to bounce, but it's not going to do enough. Body low. They're going to get an extra attack there coming in from Newbie, but the team is out. Pride comes in for a kill. Sliced and diced. Now White Lotus and Seiya here. Which way will they go?
Oh no!
This pursuit right into Dominus to Cole, but there's no lockup from the Ruthless Predator. There's the W. Here comes Seiya. Gets the charm over the shoulder of Pride, and Pride has to run to save just that. He goes down to White Lotus. Cucumore and Kindness now trying to get in here. Will the fight go down? A few more shots. The charm in, and there's the Foxfire.
They're gonna do
Burn
it.
up, and in the frying pan, the flash out from Seiya draws in Cucumore. Hook, line, and sinker as they bait in another one. Triple kill for White Lotus.
The 2v3 from the Lyon duo is able to get the turnaround. They get themselves the kills that they need, and everything is going so in favor of Lyon Gaming. At first I thought Oddie, man, he played with fire. He ended up getting burned. You can see that he got a little bit too cocky trying to get this kill. He doesn't respect the amount of damage that can come from this support brand. He ends up losing his life, and you think at this point, all right, Lyon, you've overextended, you've made mistakes. And you think that the collapse is just going to come out, but then the way in which they kite, the way in which they buy time, is just so good from both Seiya and White Lotus. Notice that Pride, he gets locked up in the animation of his W, which makes it easier for Seiya to be able to land the charm. And then Kinless and Cucumore, you just disengage at this point. They don't even realize that Seiya still has his flash on this entire play. Another charm lands from Seiya, and they're able to get themselves a triple kill.
Oh. So many on-the-edge plays that start to mess with your mentality, especially if you remember on ISG right now, as those are the ones you want to keep going for, but then come up in the favor of Lyon Gaming to make things like a 5-0-0 White Lotus right now. 1-0-7 Seiya.
He's literally flipped it. 0-0-5 Ash to 5-0-0 Luke.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, guys, look, I was utility last game. I've done my job, right? It's my turn now. It's my turn.
I mean, they really have drafted a huge composition, and we haven't really seen Giral be a part of these fights as much. He came into that one a little bit late, was able to rough some people up for the kiting, but overall, this team just battled with 4 and were able to come out on top of 5.
Yep. I love the way in which Lyon have been playing. They brought this mid lane style of just trying to shut down Emp, and it has worked beautifully. The Morello-Nomicon being completed for Seiya, working lightly towards the Abyssal Scepter second. This is the build I love to see on Aries. It really is an effective snowball kind of build, being able to get that early AP early on. And now she can just sit in a solo lane and really be a big damage threat that no one on Isurus game can really handle at this point.
The GLP finished up. 0-4 and 0 Emp, though, having trouble getting those items in, and now kind of relegated to using that to clear the waves as they come up. Pride making sure there's no dive behind the turret. It gets that much scarier. The last fight ISG was just put in was basically because they didn't have a jungle to rotate through. It's all been warded up. Lyon Gaming has such a security force in here.
And the thing that surprised me about Isurus Gaming is the fact that I was expecting more from QQ more in the top half of the map. I was expecting him more, maybe even in the bottom half of the map, because they had so much pressure with these hard pushing lanes in the first 10 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
But after QQ more lost his blue buff right at the start, we saw nothing from him. This guy just got put behind from a very small deficit, and he just didn't know how to come back.
Absolutely, and we see Audi now 2 games in a row. Kha'Zix last time didn't really come to fruition for him, but the Lee Sin this time, now that he can be a little bit more of a nuisance in the jungle and get himself out from the dangerous spots, has been able to throw the team for a loop. And like you said, it's shut down what we expected to see from that Renekton and Elise top, shutting down the Galio, getting some dives in. It's been non-existent. Baron up now at 20 minutes, but it's 10-2 and just about a 7,000 gold lead you're looking at.
Things are rough for Isurus Gaming. When we look at avenues to come back into the game, they really have to rely on the mistakes of Lyon at this point. You have a great pick composition, you have a fair amount of CC and damage, but you have to just try and find windows with which Lyon Gaming are not properly set up in the right position, where then there are small avenues, perhaps when they're moving around the map, like when White Lotus is by himself up in the top. Maybe this is where you can get yourself a pick, but they're going to need a number of these picks, or maybe even a Baron steal, in order to really gain control back over the game.
But now they're able to flex the muscles of the fundamental 1-3-1 that they love so much. Yeah. They're rotating a little bit just to make sure there is a lot of pressure, as you don't usually 1-3-1 the AD top. But the power they have is they're almost able to do it at this point.
I mean, Lyon can literally do whatever they want at this point. They have such a big goal advantage. Going for a Baron now would be a little bit risky, because then you give Isurus Gaming a window back.
That's true.
So I think the smart thing is to just play the map right now. Take your time, use your gold lead to take down these tier 2s. Then once you've gotten that, then it becomes much easier to control the jungle, and then that's when you start playing around the Baron.
Just gotta make sure your confidence doesn't get you in trouble at this point. Very easy to feel like a second tier turret is diveable. Great shields. A lot of abilities just used, and you hardly see any HP downed on the side of Lyon Gaming. Spells good things for them as they go to siege a turret. Already Gerald rotating from bot to mid here, as Pride is trying to do the work, but nobody's going to respect the first tier outer bottom to save. He's just going to keep pushing mid.
Here he comes. He's got the ultimate.
Going to dive in a little farther in the back. Seiya gets locked up. A nice hit there from Newbie as they were able to get things controlled. Second tier turret's going to go down though. Pride with the walk all the way up, and now mid is prepped for whatever Lyon wants to do. They can come back and blow on that.
Everything is being set up beautifully for Lyon Gaming. Both tier 2 towers in the bottom lane and the top lane have been dropped. The Baron is going to be the next port of call. Well, let's see how Lyon are able to get this pick. Audi. Oh, that's a very easy kill.
Seems like Audi taking a cocoon from somewhere is the initiation.
Yeah, that does seem to be the case, where it's very much like, oh no, I've been hit by a web, but I'm the one springing the trap. Ha-ha!
You're in this fight with me and my team. They are always there, and they are moving power and numbers right now. And like we said, that mid turret very, very low. Get some shoulder wards on each side, top and bottom. And 11-2 means that turret is not long for this world, with possibly more kills on the side of Lyon Gaming.
Cloud Drake being comfortably ignored by both teams. They're much more focused on the larger objectives. The blue buff will be handed over to Seiya, but convincing performance overall from Lyon Gaming. We talked about how it was great to see the shift, and the fact that we wondered how they would shift their mentality coming into game 3 of the day. And they definitely seem to be much more of a, you know what, let's go. We're ready. We're primed. We're going to be going back to our old style, back to the style that has worked for us in the past, which is netting an early lead and then snowballing it throughout the game.
It did not seem to temper them whatsoever. And mostly Audi, right? We saw him last game. We saw him this game. Stealing the Baron, or I'm sorry, stealing the Dragons, feeling pretty good, but also had his own knockdowns and his deficits. So be able to go around, get the team going, really helps them catapult this game. White Lotus been doing his own thing in the bot side. They've gotten some interesting rotations throughout the game to actually get that bottom lane fed and make sure they keep QQ more down. Again, something we heard from the analyst desk, that he kind of has to have a good game for ISG to really flourish in the lane, somebody to come out on top. I mean, Pride's going to be up there doing what he can, probably not kill it, but if he had the help of QQ more, as we said before, he could have had an early game where they would accept fights like this, where you just the AD carry is taking Dragon.
Yeah, my expectations were a little higher from Isurus Gaming this time around. Woo. Regardless, Lyon definitely put up a strong performance, which Isurus were not able to handle. Ooh, very swift flash from White Lotus. And here we go, engage from Lyon again.
Adi gets hit up. Wild Growth is there. Whoa, Pride's gonna take this one all the way in. Feels like he has the exit. Blade of the Rune King, flash in. Here comes the Hero's charge, and no, it's gonna be the hit from Gerald. There's a crater in the ground with Pride's name on it.
And Lyon, they're feeling even more confident than ever. They have 5 members strong, and they're going for another fight.
Blasts over the wall, gets the taunt in on Kindless. Newbie around the corner with QQ more. They have to run opposite side of the base to get out of here, and they don't have much else, nor anywhere else to go. The chase from Gerald is gonna keep Newbie from doing anything, as well as backing. And now they're gonna be chasing QQ more to the top side. The team pushes down mid, and we're gonna see how this one ends. Adi picks up the kill. Giral still on the chase that is never ending. And we'll be back to that in about 5 minutes. Yeah. Push mid.
Oh, just a bit of fun between both.
They throw it up.
Newbie.
Throw it up. What you got? What are your skills? The zombie brand. He can see your footsteps.
Smash from Giral.
Takes him down. I actually didn't know it was going to happen there. Baron is going to be uncontested unless the Weaver's Wall flies all the way through. And Emp comes up with a huge hero play, 15-2. Baron is locked down by Lyon Gaming. 50,000 gold, just about for themselves.
And I just love this engage pattern from Lyon, you know? Walk up, get hit by a web, team is good to go. Like, look, every time, Adi is just ready and waiting to get hit by that web because he's just baiting Isurus Gaming in, ready for the rest of his team to get the collapse. And again, now we're seeing the forward play of White Lotus. He knows he has the support from his top laner, Giral, and a hero's entrance certainly was just when you get that slam dunk down onto the Renekton. And then from here, it's just cleanup.
That's the first kill I've ever seen from the hero's entrance. Absolutely awesome. Great taunt to start to. Not too many Galio plays coming through the MSI plan so far, but the two have been quite nice. QQ more to run. We know what happens on that one. Mission Impossible by Newbie as he ran away. And now White Lotus back to the split push with a little bit of assistance from his team in the jungle.
Well, he knows that a hero will arrive should he have.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like just in the nick of time to steal away the kill in the first instance. And now we get to see how easily Lyon can close this out. 26 minutes into the game. They have the Baron. They're primed and ready. They're looking to get themselves a 2-1 to end out the day.
Final badge flares go out as both teams now going to go for Brogue. Oh, he says, Seiya, jump in, because I will too. Gerald comes in on the play. Everybody is behind the engage on this one for Lyon. And now they're on to Kindless. 3 go down, looking for a 4th. A little too crazy coming in from White Lotus on that time. Flash was not up for him. And now they're going to be going for the Nexus turret. Worth on the side of Lyon, I feel they say, and they'll get an inhibitor out of this.
The damage was done. White Lotus was expecting that hero to save him once more, but was not available. They get themselves 3 for 2. They're going to get an inhib. They're likely going to make it a second as well. Lyon just demonstrating their dominance over Isurus Gaming.
Pushed up just about all over. Overstaying their welcome would be top lane for them to rotate. So, like you said, should be maybe the inhib. There it is. Drops there. I didn't see the health bar going down too quick. And now this would be a pretty scary one that would make them wait a little too long. They're going to head out. Nicely done by Lyon Gaming.
1-0-4 for Seiya. He felt like, you know what, maybe I need a death. Let's be the engage tool. Once again, the initiation going out from the Cocoon, but this time Seiya, he lands the charm, and then the follow-up is just bloodshed everywhere. We see the classic White Lotus move of, hey, I can get this kill. And this is what we wanted from him game 2 of the day. This is what we wanted to see from his Ashe in the previous setup. In his first game of the day, he never had Flasher.
Just empty the quiver, man. Just keep firing.
Exactly. But this time around, now we're seeing more of the White Lotus, and now we're seeing him really go back to his traditional play.
He feels more, it almost feels like there's a gate for him on that. Obviously, the team's going to play different with his 006 Ashe on it, but it's like, Lucian can unlock that ability to go forward. I will go forward. And it seems like he 110% knows.
He has the support from his team as well, right? Like, how many times have we seen Gentek's always there ready and waiting to give him that ult, being like, I got you, fam. I got you. I'm ready.
And kind of on Ashe, it's not there unless I'm in the position, unless they put me there. So he plays it a little more tempered. The Lucian, however, 7-1 and 3. Right behind that mid laner with 1-0 and 14. Adi goes in, gets QQ more, and under his skin as well. Pride coming in just tried to get to the backside of the team fight, but he's going to get dropped before he can do too much. One last shot. It is going to be Saya to get it out. He goes in with the wild growth on to QQ. Kicks him away, but no resonating strike to follow. White Lotus straight for the shot of Kindness. Turns around, gets another one. As the Itsy Bitsy Spider drops from the spout and goes down. Just Newbie left. No summoners for him. He's going to be on the fountain, and Lyon bounce back to look to go 2-1 here as they start their plays in the play-ins. 22-4, making a great comeback here in game 2, and they will finish on the Nexus 30 minutes in.
Swift demolition from the side of Lyon Gaming. Isurus could not handle the unrelenting pressure from Oddie in the mid lane. And from the team of Lyon, just getting such a massive advantage early on, spreading it across the rest of the map. I was expecting a little more from Isurus. I wanted to see the classic Elise Renekton combo that they have brought out during the regular season. The plays where they always try to snowball the top, transition that throughout the rest of the map, but we did not see that come out. And unfortunately for them, Lyon were feeling proactive in this final game.
Yep. Great start coming out of the jungle. Adi again playing hard. As the players say GG, you can kind of tell throughout that game the discombobulation and the structure coming out of the jungle, getting any assistance when it was necessary, being able to transfer buffs. Those were necessary for QQ being down so far. I think he took 2 or 3, then they were able to transfer some off, but at that point, they already had invasion in their jungle, and the transfer was very tough.
It surprised me how far behind QQ got put just after losing that first blue. Like, we just did not see any kind of activity from him, just responding to the pressure of Oddie, and honestly just not quite matching it.
Well, great game by Lyon to bounce back and to break down that win from Lyon Gaming. Let's send it over to Dash and the analysts.
Thank you very much, Rivington. Absolutely a great game out of Lyon Gaming here. And where was this team 1 hour ago? I mean, we just watched them have a slow bleed 45-minute, 50-minute kind of inactive game, and then this time just a whole new look for the team here in game 5 of the day.
I don't know where it came from. Maybe it's because they had the first game, then they play the 4th game. There's that kind of 2-hour gap where they're not doing anything, but something kicked them in the ass because this game they came out swinging.
Yeah, they had the added bonus as well of watching Isurus play beforehand, perhaps downloaded their style, but definitely went backstage, had their coffee, they were ready to go.
Well, yeah, and with that, we came out with a new look in terms of team comp as well, right? We had asked, put some resources behind your ADC. This guy has been going off all day long, and what do? We finally get the Lulu Galio to boot.
I mean, I think the other thing, too, is that they have resources, or playmaking champions that can do their own thing. When we saw them all relying on a big, grouped-up 5v5, sometimes they can be hesitant, but this time around, an Ari can go in, Elise can go in on his own, even a Lucian, a little bit, like you said, with that Lulu enabling him, knowing that he has that extra protection, can dash in and go crazy, and we saw that's kind of what happened, was a lot of skirmishes in the early game.
I know you guys haven't seen much of Galio just yet, but in the LPL, there is a couple of combos that is absolutely legit. One of them we did see here with the Ari is the Galio backing him up, because you can actually engage with Ari and then know you're going to be a safe player there. You don't have to go zone use, you have to trust the damage reduction out of your team. But when combos like that connect, you've got the Lulu Lucian for the exact same thing, and Lee Sin, his own man.
It's a synergy I hadn't necessarily considered until you pointed it out. The idea that Ari as a mid laner can be aggressive with her first and even maybe second use of the ultimate in order to give Galio a target to jump in with. At that point, you can still reposition as you want as a damage dealer, and now your tanks are in and acting as a frontliner. So very cool synergistic relationship between those champions, and we saw it play out quite perfectly here. Before we get to some of those team fights, though, I want to talk about a specific player, Acer replay worthy here in the mid lane. Saya on this Ari individually was playing like a rock star.
Right, him and Adi popped off together in the early game, getting a lot of skirmishes around the mid lane. They get that first one. Here comes a solo kill. Shortly after that, they were able to get the flash down off Hemp, and then they just abused him over and over with this kind of fighting that they get in. It is Adi actually who comes in and steals this kill. It should have been a solo kill, but that's that jungler mentality. And then they get into another crazy skirmish, this time around bot side blue jungle.
And the moral of the story here is that no matter how hard you try, Saya just will seem to hit every single charm that he was throwing out. Every single time there was a fight or a skirmish, he just managed to connect that.
All right, and so that's just a small little highlight reel for him. Of course, he played phenomenally throughout the game. I want to take a look at another replay, 16:30 into the game this time. Starting, here we go at the Wolves, all the way down to the bot lane, but both him and Lucian together.
Yeah, White Lotus feeling like he was getting a little left out with all that skirmishing, wants to get involved with it. This one getting a little over-aggressive, and it looks like Isurus might come around and turn this one, especially when he hops the wall here right into an ulting Renekton, but then He's like, hey, I want an Acer replay. He's trying to get his own right now. Tries to turn this one back with the help of Sia.
Yeah, he may need to change pants after this because he dashed into a Renekton, but he's got the partner in crime of his mid laner there. So between Saya and White Lotus, throughout every single game they've looked strong in, they've been able to complement each other.
Flashing the icon throughout the fight as well, while landing skill shots.
That's when you know you're feeling pretty good about your game.
Absolutely. So good on them for stepping up both on the individual level, but then once again, also illustrating to us that they do have other directions they could go when it comes to style and team comp. If anything, this just makes this group B, that much more interesting for me. If you consider the fact that they did lose to Gigabyte Marines, but in a game where we do feel like it really could have gone either way, with these two teams out to the front of this group, possibly 2 horse. I'm not going to count out the other 2 teams just yet, but makes for what could be a very exciting finish here to the group on the second day.
Especially when you look at that game where they were both playing these 2 really standard team comps and going for full 5v5s and neither really pulling the trigger. This time around, a lot more comfort champions. It's fine to play an aggressive style. If that's what you're used to, then pick to it. Don't just go for this. You know, their team comp before was a great team comp, but if that's not what you're best at, don't play it.
All right, well, this game was plenty exciting. We got one more game left to go. Coming up next, our final game of the day, Gigabyte Marines versus Virtus Pro. Come join us and see who comes out on top after this break.
Weaver's wall is thrown out, but he might have got himself hurt. Gets the flashes from the other team. Thinks he was safe to stay and engage.
Trouble.
Oh, the charm went past. They're going to be able to get both in the fight now. There's the kill coming in into F. That's going to be another falling. QQ might go down. A few more shots. The charm in, and there's the Foxfire.
They're going to do
Burn up, and in the frying pan, the flash out from Seiya draws in QQ more. Hook, line, and sinker as they bait in another one. Hero comes in on the play. Everybody is behind the engage on this one for Lyon. And now they're on to Kindless. 3 go down, looking for a 4th. A little too crazy. White Lotus straight for the shot of Kindless, turns around, gets another one as the Itsy Bitsy Spider drops from the spout and goes down. Great comeback here in game 2, and they will finish on the Nexus